It is Saturday, September 14th, 2019, 1:54 p.m. This is Kessie Anderson, and welcome back to Heresiarch.
Heresiarch. Heresy. An originator or chief advocate of a heresy. Heresiarch. Heresiarch. French heretic, the ecclesiastical Latin from Greek hereticos, able to choose.
What I'm doing in this episode, I'm going through the Universal Ethics Exploring the 7 Laws of Noah. This is found on the Noahide.org website. It is by Rabbi Pinchas Taylor. Copyright 2009, Institute of Noahide Code. I'm going through this workbook because it will go and deep dive into these Noahide laws. A quick recap. The Noahide laws come from the first tablets of Moses on Mount Sinai. Those are the ones that he threw down and shattered when the Israelites were found to be worshiping the golden calf. There are 7 Noahide laws. They differ from the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments, if you're familiar, you can go to Exodus 20 and read through those. Now, the way these differ is there are 7 Noahide laws, and there are only 2 that are quasi-similar to the 10 Commandments, but even those are different. Do not steal and do not murder. Thou shalt not kill is in the 10 Commandments, but the do not murder is a little different and has different connotations. The do not steal, that has implications toward kidnapping among the Noahide laws, not necessarily just taking the theft of other items. But now let's jump in to the Universal Ethics Exploring the 7 Laws of Noah. It starts off, would you believe that you are unstoppable, irreplaceable, and crucial to humankind at large, that you could literally adjust the entire world for the better? Sound like empty wishes or vague hopes? Guess again, it's reality. The Torah tells us that human beings were fashioned in a different way than everything else in creation. Animals, plants, and inanimate were all formed wholly. All the trees on one day, all the animals on another, and so forth. Adam, mankind, on the other hand, was formed individually, exclusively, and carefully by God himself. Furthermore, the Torah tells us man's soul was breathed into him by God, showing a deeper vestige of power instilled within him over all else in the cosmos. Mankind was unique. He was created in the image of the Almighty, not physical likeness, for God has no form. Rather, man is a model of the divine mission. God's will and purpose in creating the universe exist in microcosm within each person. When an individual, therefore, refines himself, the universe in turn is perfected. So how does one refine himself? How can we make sure that we are in sync with the world, enabling our actions to transform it? Simple. By being in touch with what our divine mission is. Being that we are each a small representation of the entire world, when we fulfill our role in perfecting ourselves, we simultaneously aid the world to reach its perfection. Changing ourselves and in turn the world are not lofty concepts, only attainable by a select few. Instead, they are the fundamental building blocks of one's character. To make a building stronger, one begins at the foundation. So the same in a person. Beginning with assessing his outlook, every facet in the person becomes stronger. This course is designed in order to expose the 7 Noahide laws as the bedrock of society and personal development. By increasing awareness in these key principles, we will together learn how to improve ourselves and facilitate the world to its ultimate goal in making it an abode for the divine presence. These 3 paragraphs are so loaded with layers of information. Now, it is worded on purpose for a Christian audience to not take pause with what's being said. However, there is so much here to break down. If you remember, Torah is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. That is the law. That is the written Torah. Now, that is not the Talmud, which is the oral Torah, which is actually their real holy book. The Torah is just the window dressing to get by the Christian security guards into the building. Now, refined, perfection, what do those even mean? Yeah, we read it, we kind of understand the idea behind it, but what does it entail? As in, what has to be done, what has to be legislated, what has to be pushed for you to live up to their version of refinement and perfection. Refine himself. That is such an opinion. What I think is being refined is radically different than what anybody else would believe is to be refined. And if you read through Genesis, there's literally no refining of anybody. It's just terrible. Abraham runs around playing a con on everybody else. King Abimelech, that poor guy, he was taken advantage of nonstop by Abraham, using his wife to be his sister to dupe these guys into wanting to be with her. And then they get a dream by God that says, oh, that's Abraham's wife. You touch her, you're going to fall into condemnation. So they'd go to Abraham and say, whoa, 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 why did you tell us this was your sister when it was actually your wife? Haha, well, now you owe me. And that's how Abraham came back, and that's how he acquired all of his riches and status and flocks, etc. The most ridiculous stories I've ever read are in Genesis. It's just so frustrating. If you get a chance, just read it, take it at its own word. I just finished all 50 chapters 2 weeks ago, and I just wrote down some of the areas that I highly disagreed with. So much is ridiculous. And what Judah pulls on his daughter-in-law outside of the temple, and she has to cover her for herself when he basically rapes her and proves who she is. It's the whole thing is a mess. Anyway, take some time, read through all of Genesis. It's the most convoluted, it's so frustrating. And yet that Abraham is the father of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. I'm not buying that. I'm sorry, I just don't buy the Abraham narrative at all. It's so frustrating when you reread it. And why would the Noahide laws be the bedrock of a society? Once you read through them and learn what they push, you will find out that it has nothing to do with being a bedrock of society. It's just a mechanism of control to force you to obey, to please some auspicious dictator at the top. Full on ridiculous. So this whole introduction, it is just one giant opinion on how you should live, and then they try to get you to buy into the 7 Noahide laws as the reason for that. Now this video, I wanted to keep it short. I'm going to be doing another one on the actual first lesson. This was just the introduction.
Heresy. Heresy. An originator or chief advocate of a heresy. Heresiarch. Heresiarch. French heretic, the ecclesiastical Latin for Greek hereticos, able to choose.